Manufacturing capsules from animal bones is one of the most precise examples of industrial transformation within the pharmaceutical sector. The process does not simply consist of grinding bones and shaping them. It requires deep cleaning, rigorous selection, controlled collagen extraction, purification, concentration, drying, molding, curing, inspection, and packaging under strict standards. What begins as a hard, irregular, and biological raw material ends up converted into a uniform, safe, and dosage-ready capsule. The key lies in the gelatin. Bones contain collagen, a structural protein that, under controlled treatments, can be transformed into a stable gelatinous solution. That gelatin is then converted into sheets or moldable masses, capable of forming the two halves of a hard capsule. Each phase removes impurities, adjusts moisture, controls viscosity, and verifies resistance until a product suitable for pharmaceutical use is obtained. The process begins long before a capsule even exists. It starts with the selection of animal bones from controlled chains, generally bovine or porcine. These bones cannot enter the plant as common waste. They must arrive identified, separated, cleaned in basic sanitary terms, and accompanied by controls that allow their origin to be traced. In a pharmaceutical industry, traceability is not an administrative detail, it is a central condition. Each batch must be able to be followed from the initial raw material to the finished product. Bones contain minerals, fat, tissue remains, water, and structural proteins. Among these proteins, the most important for this process is collagen. Collagen functions as a kind of natural framework within bones, skin, tendons, and cartilage. It is resistant, fibrous, and stable. However, with the proper treatment, its fibers can partially break down and turn into gelatin. That gelatin retains very useful properties. It forms films, retains moisture, dissolves easily under appropriate conditions, and can be molded with great precision. When the bones arrive at the plant, the first stage is reception and classification. The material is unloaded in areas prepared to avoid cross-contamination. There, the size, cleanliness, moisture, presence of residues, and uniformity of the batch are checked. Pieces that are too contaminated or out of specification are separated. Those that meet the parameters move forward to the washing line. This initial selection defines the stability of the rest of the process, because irregular raw material forces the correction of problems regarding purity, viscosity, or yield later on. Then comes pressure washing. In this phase, water jets remove surface impurities, dirt, loose organic remains, and external particles. The goal is not yet to extract the gelatin, but rather to prepare the material for deeper treatments. Mechanical cleaning reduces the waste load and allows subsequent stages to work more uniformly. In a modern industrial line, the movement of the material is continuous. Belts, hoppers, channels, and closed equipment transfer the bones from one phase to another without stopping the general production flow. Then, a separation of fats and adhered tissues is performed. Bones may contain animal fat residues that affect the final quality if not removed correctly. This fat not only alters the color and smell of the product, but it can also interfere with the formation of a clean and stable gelatin. Therefore, hot washes, thermal treatments, or separation systems are applied to help detach unwanted components. The raw material begins to become more uniform. It is no longer just a set of clean bones. It is a material conditioned to release its useful compounds. Once stabilized, the bones undergo size reduction. First, they are crushed into more manageable fragments. Then, they can be ground or cut until they reach a controlled grain size. This step is key because particle size affects extraction efficiency. If the fragments are too large, the treatment liquids penetrate with difficulty. If they are too fine, they can generate sludge that is difficult to filter. The industry seeks a balance, enough surface area to process the material, but without losing control over flow and separation. At this stage, the density of the material, its moisture, and its approximate composition are also controlled. Modern plants incorporate sensors, scales, temperature gauges, and digital tracking systems. Work is not done by eye. Each batch is measured, compared, and adjusted. The raw material must enter the treatment tanks with predictable characteristics. This predictability allows times, temperatures, and concentrations to be kept within safe ranges. Bone, however, is not directly useful for making capsules. The capsule is not manufactured with bone powder, but with gelatin obtained from collagen. To reach it, the mineral fraction must first be separated from the useful organic fraction. Bones contain a large amount of calcium phosphate, which gives them rigidity. That mineral component must be reduced or removed, depending on the type of process. Unwanted proteins, fatty residues, and insoluble particles are also eliminated. The result of these first operations is a raw material much more controlled than the original bone. It has been cleaned, selected, reduced, degreased, and prepared for extraction. It still does not look like a pharmaceutical product. It may look like clear, moist, or semi-processed fragments. But chemically, it is already closer to gelatin than to a common bone. The plant has eliminated what gets in the way and has preserved what matters, the collagen-rich structure that will be transformed into a purified solution. With the raw material now prepared, the stage that truly transforms bone into gelatin begins. Here, the process stops being primarily mechanical and becomes chemical, thermal, and physical. The conditioned fragments enter tanks where controlled solutions, temperature, agitation, and specific contact times are applied. The objective is to modify the collagen to extract it in the form of soluble gelatin without destroying its useful properties. Natural collagen is a highly organized protein. Its chains form resistant structures designed by nature to withstand tension and provide support to tissues. To convert it into gelatin, that structure must be partially broken down. It is not a matter of burning or destroying the protein, but rather denaturing it in a controlled manner. Under certain conditions, the fibers lose their original order and pass into a solution capable of forming gels, films, and capsules. There are different industrial methods. Some processes use acid treatments, others alkaline, and others combine phases of washing, neutralization, and thermal extraction. The choice depends on the type of raw material and the type of gelatin desired. For pharmaceutical use, the requirement is high. The gelatin must have adequate gel strength, low impurity load, controlled color, neutral odor, stable moisture, and predictable behavior during molding. In the extraction tanks, the material is mixed with water under controlled temperature. The temperature helps release the gelatin, but must be kept within precise ranges. If it is too low, extraction will be slow and incomplete. If it is too high, it can degrade the protein and reduce the quality of the gel. Agitation keeps the mixture homogeneous and allows heat to be distributed uniformly. Sensors monitor temperature, pH, density, and viscosity. Each variable indicates how the transformation is progressing. As the gelatin is released, the liquid becomes more concentrated. It is no longer simply processed water. It contains dissolved protein, fine remains, and compounds that must be separated. The first extraction may generate a solution with a good portion of the useful material, but it is still far from pharmaceutical purity. Therefore, the liquid passes through separation systems. Filters, decanters, centrifuges, or membranes remove particles, residual solids, and unwanted components. Next come successive washings and refinements. The industry does not rely on a single cleaning. The liquid is clarified several times until it reaches adequate transparency, stability, and composition. In each phase, the presence of minerals, fats, unwanted colorations, and insoluble residues is reduced. Pharmaceutical gelatin must be consistent batch after batch. It cannot vary notably in texture, color, or behavior because it will later be used to manufacture capsules that must fit, close, and dissolve regularly. An important stage is fine filtration. Here, very small particles that could affect the appearance or safety of the product are removed. The solution becomes clearer and more uniform. It may also undergo deionization treatments, vacuum concentration, or additional purification, depending on the plant's standard. In vacuum concentration, part of the water is removed at moderate temperatures. This allows the amount of gelatin per volume to be increased without subjecting it to excessive heat. The vacuum reduces the boiling point and better protects the protein. Viscosity is one of the central variables. If the solution is too liquid, it will not form a film with the necessary thickness. If it is too thick, it will be difficult to pump, filter, and mold. The plant adjusts concentration, temperature, and moisture until achieving a mass or solution with exact behavior. That consistency will determine how the capsule walls are formed. A capsule that is too thin may break. One that is too thick may take longer to dissolve or create closing problems. Dimensional precision begins with the viscosity of the gelatin. Then the gelatin can be spread into sheets, cooled, partially dried, or kept as a hot solution to directly feed molding equipment. In hard capsules, the most common method consists of dipping metal molds shaped like small pins into a gelatin solution. The gelatin adheres to those molds, forming a film. Afterward, it is dried, removed, and cut. This yields two pieces, the body and the cap of the capsule. Both must have compatible diameters to fit together without deforming. Before reaching that phase, the gelatin may receive authorized colorants, opacifiers, or additives. Some capsules are transparent, others have specific colors to identify products, doses, or brands. They may also incorporate agents that improve stability or adjust moisture, but everything must comply with pharmaceutical standards. Components are not added at random. Every substance must be permitted, measured, and documented. The finished gelatin is analyzed in a laboratory. Gel strength, viscosity, moisture, ash, pH, microbial load, and other parameters are measured. Its thermal behavior and its ability to form uniform films are also evaluated. Only when it meets the specifications does it move on to capsule manufacturing. If a batch does not meet the standard, it may be reprocessed, downgraded to a lower use, or discarded according to regulations. The purified pharmaceutical gelatin now enters the visible phase of the process, the formation of capsules. At this stage, the plant stops working with bones, fragments, or solutions under refinement and begins to produce tiny pieces with exact measurements. Each capsule is composed of two halves, a longer body and a shorter cap. Both must be manufactured separately, dried without deforming, and assembled with the correct amount of pressure. The molding begins with a gelatin solution maintained at a controlled temperature. This solution must maintain a stable viscosity to adhere uniformly to the molds. The molds are typically metallic pins aligned on plates or bars. Each pin has the internal shape of one half of a capsule. When dipped into the gelatin, a thin layer sticks to its surface. Upon removal, that film begins to solidify. The thickness depends on the temperature, the gelatin concentration, the immersion time, and the extraction speed. After the bath, the molds pass through drying tunnels. There, air with controlled humidity and temperature circulates. The drying cannot be abrupt. If the gelatin loses water too quickly, it cracks or shrinks unevenly. If it remains too moist, the capsule will be soft, sticky, or unstable. The final moisture must stay within a range that allows for flexibility without losing strength. A gelatin capsule needs to be rigid enough to maintain its shape, yet flexible enough not to break during filling, transport, or handling. When the halves are dry, they are removed from the molds. They are then cut to an exact length. This operation seems simple but requires precision. If the body is too long or the cap is too short, the capsule will not close correctly. If the edge is irregular, it can get caught in filling machines or cause the contents to leak. The blades must work with cleanliness and repeatability, as thousands or millions of units are produced in continuous series. Next comes the preliminary assembly. The body and the cap are joined without being filled yet, forming empty capsules. These capsules will then be sent to pharmaceutical laboratories or production lines where they will be loaded with powders, granules, microspheres, or specific formulations. In some cases, the same plant may manufacture the empty capsule and also fill it, but these are different phases. The empty capsule is the dosage container. The active medication belongs to another regulated stage. Color and finish are also controlled. Some capsules have one half of one color and the other half of another. Others are completely transparent to show the content. Others are opaque to protect light-sensitive substances. In all cases, visual uniformity is important. A change in color can indicate a problem with mixing, moisture, or concentration. For this reason, optical systems review the appearance in real time and separate defective units. Automatic inspection is one of the most demanding phases. High-speed cameras review dimensions, shape, brightness, color, cracks, deformations, black spots, poorly cut edges, or incomplete closures. The capsules pass through channels where they are oriented, rotated, and expose their surfaces to the vision system. If a unit does not meet the specification, a puff of air, a pneumatic actuator, or a rejection mechanism sets it aside from the line. The objective is to prevent a defective capsule from reaching the packaging or the pharmaceutical client. Polishing may follow. Polishing removes fine gelatin dust, improves the surface finish, and reduces the possibility of the capsules adhering to each other. This step is important because empty capsules must flow correctly in filling machines. If they stick together, deform, or generate residue, they can stop an entire pharmaceutical production line. A well-manufactured capsule must not only look correct, it must also behave well within high-speed automatic equipment. Classification separates sizes, colors, batches, and possible discards. Pharmaceutical capsules are manufactured in standardized sizes, from very small formats to larger capsules. Each size has an approximate volume and is used according to the dose and density of the product it will contain. Dimensional precision allows pharmaceutical companies to calculate consistent fillings. A minimal variation in internal volume can affect the amount of powder that enters each capsule. Then comes automatic counting. The capsules are distributed through vibrating channels or feeding systems that order them and lead them toward electronic counters. Each container receives an exact amount. If they are empty capsules for industrial sale, they may be packed in bags, boxes, or special containers. If they are already filled capsules, they may go into bottles, blisters, or final presentations. In both cases, the counting must be precise and traceable. The packaging fulfills several functions. It protects the capsules from moisture, dust, contamination, and mechanical damage. It also keeps each batch separated and allows for the identification of the manufacturing date, batch number, specifications, and destination. The label is not just a commercial presentation, it is part of the control system. If a problem appears later on, traceability allows one to know which raw material was used, on which line it was produced, which controls it passed, and where the batch was sent. In modern lines, robots and automatic systems place containers, close lids, apply labels, verify codes, and group boxes. Sensors confirm that each bottle is closed, that each label is in the correct position, and that each box contains the expected quantity. Some units are checked manually as an additional control. Human labor does not disappear. It shifts towards supervision, maintenance, quality analysis, and documentary verification. The final internal phase is palletizing. The boxes are grouped into stable pallets, wrapped with protective film and identified for storage or dispatch. Although it no longer seems like a chemical part of the process, logistics is also part of pharmaceutical quality. If the capsules are exposed to excessive moisture, heat, or impact, they can lose stability. Therefore, storage controls temperature, humidity, and transport conditions,